Fantasy Footballers Sunday Live.
Woo! Woo! It's football time! It's Sunday morning! And we're live, baby! They can't edit me anymore. I can say whatever I want. And nothing bad can happen. Good morning. Happy Sunday. Happy football day. I hope you're tilting along with me, and I hope you've got some real tough, hard questions that I'm going to nail and help you get a victory. But we're going to start off, as we do every Sunday, with the big picture.
The big picture
Is a lie. It's a big lie because this is the little picture. I've never, this is the sheet that we get that kind of like internally where it's all the breaking news. This thing is so tiny this week. It's crazy. There's not that much surprising, outlandish news. So we'll rifle through this to get to more of your questions today. I know Mike, who usually does this, he gets to none of your questions. I'm gonna do so great. I'm gonna get so many. All right, Brock Purdy's out. That was the big surprise. I believe I was said on the when we covered the matchup, I know this man. He's tough. He's gonna play, and then boom. It's like Brock Purdy's out. So, all right, that's going to, I'm sure, lead to some Juwan Jennings questions, maybe some Deebo Samuel questions, maybe even some Brandon Allen questions. The answer there is no. At the running back position, DeAndre Swift is in. I think most people expected that. Isaiah Pacheco is out. That was announced earlier this week. I still think it will be a little while before he makes an impact on Kareem Hunt. Tajay Spears out, still in concussion protocol. I would say the two big pieces of news for the running back position, Jonathan Brooks, the number one rookie running back taken in this year's draft, is finally going to play football. He is in today. I doubt we have many questions there. I think most people are going to have him on the bench, see his involvement, because this is still Chuba's running game for now. And then for the Raiders running backs are not expected to play. It hasn't been officially announced because it's a 4:05 game, but they will not be playing Alexander Mattison, Zamir White, which means we'll have a lot of questions about the backups, Alexander Mattison and Dylan Laube. Do you start them? The answer there should be no. All right, wide receivers. Malik Neighbors is in. That one was kind of I was worried about whether or not he would play. I still have a smidge of worry about the groin and re-aggravation of that. Mike Evans is in off the hamstring. I'm sure we'll see some limited snaps, but when he's out there, he's going to get targets, and they're going to be deep. So he's going to be in the lineup. Adam Thielen in. Jalen Coker is out for Carolina. Keenan Allen is irrelevant for fantasy football. Don't worry about Keenan Allen. Devontae Smith, sadly, out. That one hurts me here. Given the injury, I wouldn't be surprised if it's a multi-week thing. Josh Reynolds out. Ladd McConkey is questionable. I expect him to play, but that's a Monday night game. You need a pivot option if you are relying on Ladd McConkey. And at the tight end position, Hayden Hurst is out. Noah Fant is stupid. So there's no tight ends of note. That's the big picture. Hey, Owl, you with me today?
I'm here, best
How's
friend.
the computer looking? Is it all fired up? All right, baby, let's go.
He's so hot right now.
All right, who's hot right now, Owl?
All right. Yeah, we got a few players this week that are definitely dominating the start sits. So we'll focus on them, and then we'll help you keep your promise to the people of getting all their questions. So
that was a lie.
Oh.
That was just
good to know. All right, we're going to start at the wide receiver position with, you named it, Juwan Jennings.
Yes.
A lot of questions coming in. We'll start with him against his teammate. If you had both, are you starting Juwan or Deebo?
So I wrote down some notes before, some prep. You got to do prep work sometimes. And I wrote these notes down about Jennings because I figured questions were going to come. The 49ers new projected total, where that kind of filled in across the league, and I put that on that paper that I just crumpled up and threw away. So that's cool.
You need me to grab that for you?
No, I remember them. I got a steel trap up here. They're projected for 19.5 points. Right now, the Patriots, for frame of reference, are projected for 19.3 points. So that's like where you're looking at the line for the Brandon Allen-led 49ers. That means Juwan Jennings is someone that you can start, but it's not what it was. Like he was, a start of the week where you're just saying you can't bench this guy with Brock Purdy. I'm not as confident. I didn't hear what your question was, but I've seen a million Juwan Jennings questions come. Who was the player?
We're starting with him versus Debo, if you add them both.
Oh, okay. I would be on the Debo side. Debo's going to have more manufactured touches, potential, goal line rushing opportunities. If I had to start one, I would go with the guy that can usually historically do more on his own versus relying on the quarterback.
All right. What about Juwan versus Josh Downs versus Detroit?
I'm going to go Josh Downs there as well. Detroit, their defense, their secondary has gotten better, but Pasta Man Anzalone is out. Obviously, they lost Hayden Hutchinson earlier, and so I'm really curious what we're going to see out of Anthony Richardson, whether or not he has gotten better the way he looked last game, or if last game was the outlier. Too small a sample size to tell, but Josh Downs has just been good. Like, he's been good. Two of his best games have been with Anthony Richardson. It wasn't all, the Joe Flacco games. So I'll go that route.
Alrighty. How about Juwan Jennings versus Calvin Ridley at Houston?
I'll tell you, I said Juwan Jennings is a player that you can still start. I really believe that. But you're naming guys that I would still that I will take those players. Calvin Ridley's been very, very good. Doesn't have the same question mark at quarterback. I mean, with Allen coming in to play quarterback, Juwan Jennings is not an established star. He has had a good run this season. They need him. But, I mean, who's to say it's not Ricky Pearsall who's targeted the most in this game? The backup coming in, targeting, the guy who's been more on the practice squad. So, I'm going to go Calvin Ridley there.
Okay. I think these ones will get a little tougher, and I'm going to give you three names, and you can say whether you'd start any of them over Juwan Jennings. Tank Dell, DeAndre Hopkins, or Quentin Johnston.
I would start Quentin Johnston and Tank Dell over I would not start Hopkins. Against Carolina, I could see that game not needing a lot of passing volume. Here are players I would start Juwan Jennings over, just to if you've got him and you've got more questions out there. I would start him over Jacoby Myers. I would start him over Rome Odunze. I would start him over Michael Pittman, Xavier Worthy. Those players, I'd throw Juwan Jennings in. But if you got the Calvin Ridley tier and above, I'm gonna let Juwan take a break, and hopefully, right now the expectation is Brock is back next week. So don't go dropping Jennings. Jennings is great. Next question.
All right, we're going to get over to the running back position, and there's some nasty ones here because they're all revolving around Amir Abdullah or we'll start with Amir Abdullah or Audric Estime.
Oh, man. So, same game. Both guys that I don't want. If I had to start one of them, I guess I would start Estime. The Estime's floor is a lot lower, so this is I guess I'm thinking about it like this. If I am starting one of those two players, I'm the underdog, right? I mean, can we just assume that, like, you're not favored to win a lot? So I'm not looking at the floor, I'm looking at the ceiling, and I want touchdowns. Expect Denver to score more points than the Raiders. I think that the defenses are much more difficult to run against or much easier to run against for Estime. Estime's got a very low floor because if Javonte Williams ends up like last week as the lead guy, I mean, they could go back and forth. I could see Estime with 5 touches in this game and just putting up 1 point. I could also see him with 15 touches. So it's a gamble, but you got to take those gambles when you're the underdog. I would go Estime. And if we're already at Estime, I don't know when I'm starting. I am starting Amir Abdullah this week in my dynasty league where he was all that was available on waivers, and I've got buys at the running back. But all right, what other names with Abdullah?
Abdullah or Trey Benson at Seattle?
Oh, man. I guess based on the logic of what I just said, that would also lead you to a touchdown upside with Trey Benson, but he is – Estime has a chance to be the lead guy in this game, right? Like
Estime or Abdullah?
Estime does. I'm comparing Estime,
gotcha.
Here to Abdullah in the sense, or to Trey Benson. Trey Benson can't, without an injury ahead of him in the game, he's not going to come out and just oh, I'm so surprised. He was the lead guy. Like, Estime could do that over Javonte. I'm not going to go that far down with Trey Benson. So I would start Amir Abdullah. The expectation to me is that Laub gets more work, and he was a pass-catching guy, but Abdullah has been their pass-catching back, so I still think that Abdullah will get the receptions, and hopefully that gives him a baseline for those of you forced to start the Abdullah Express. Any other Abdullah names?
Yeah, what about Amir Abdullah or Cam Akers at Chicago?
Oh man, they're back to back in my rankings. I would take Abdullah there. I'm not gonna go down to Cam.
Alrighty, last one for Amir Abdullah. Him or Roshan Johnson versus Minnesota?
Roshan. The Minnesota defense is so hard to run against. I'm really excited for Roshan rest of season, but not this week. So I'll go Abdullah. All right, we got a couple Abdullah starts in there.
All right.
Hop on board the Express and go.
We found the line. All right, we're going to move over to the tight end position and focus on Tucker Kraft for a moment. Are you starting Tucker Kraft versus San Francisco or Zach Ertz versus Dallas?
I want to find a name that I'm going to – Tucker Kraft, I would start Zach Ertz to answer the question. I like Tucker Kraft a little bit. There's a chance of a little bit of rain in this game. Because Brock Purdy's not there, the line has lowered. You don't expect as many points necessary, and you could have the end of the game where you're not throwing a lot. And the actual matchup is bad for Kraft. Now, Kraft's got love, so he could get a touchdown, no problem. You could see that happen. If you don't get a touchdown, you're going to be really disappointed in Kraft. I don't see a game where Kraft has 75 yards and 5 receptions. So Tucker is a guy that I probably am not playing. Who else? Tucker Kraft or who?
What about Luke Schoonman?
Oh, Schoonman, easy peasy. Schoonmaker, obviously backup quarterback, weird situation, but he should have a ton of targets. I mean, he had 10 targets last week when Fergalicious went down. Ferg Daddy is still in concussion protocol, so Schoonman should really be the kind of question here about Schoonman But
yeah, there's a big discrepancy. Andy and Mike both have him at 23. You have him at 12. So
Andy and Mike are wrong. And let me make that really, really clear. They have not adjusted him up appropriately enough. A lot of our algorithms that we that we use that automate the process when there's a player like Schoonman who has done nothing, like for not just this year, his whole career, he's done nothing. And then he's thrust into that situation. Sometimes it just lags behind, and he's pulled down, artificially pulled down. But I think Schoonmaker is a guy I would start definitely over Kraft.
Okay, last one. We'll see if we can find the line here. Are you starting Tucker Kraft or Isaiah Likely?
Okay, you found the line. I mean, Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely. You don't know who it's going to be right now this week. While you do like the game environment, the highest over-under of the week, I think it's 50.5 points for that matchup in the Har Bowl. You can't really – I don't want someone splitting tight end reps, so I would take Kraft there.
All right, we're going to move to the quarterback position and talk about Kyler Murray. A lot of people seem to have questions there. You starting Justin Herbert or Kyler Murray?
That's going to be Herbert by a hairbert. Oh, man, not a swish. That was an air ball. I mean, I apologize. That's how you know it's live. On the main show, all my jokes, they're so awesome, but that takes hours of editing. Yeah. So live jokes, not as easy, not as good. I really like both quarterbacks this week. Both have been playing outstanding football. The weather environment in Seattle for Kyler is kind of the tiebreaker here for me, where we expect rain, more rain in the second half as well. Now, rain without wind, which is the situation. I mean, I am a licensed meteorologist. Do they get a license?
Sure.
Is that a thing?
I doubt it, but we'll say so.
I'm on the board. I've got a board certification meteorologist doctoral degree. So there should be rain in the second half, but not a lot of wind. And rain doesn't usually affect the passing game by itself if it's not accompanied by wind, but slippery balls can lead to, interceptions that aren't his fault or just drops that, could have been a touchdown. So I'll go Herbert in the Har Bowl.
Seems that nearly all meteorologists need at least a Bachelor of Science degree.
All right, I'm good.
Perfect. All right, are you going Kyler Murray or Bo Nix?
Bo Nix. I mean, again, I like all three players you just mentioned. These are great problems to have. Bo Nix was my start of the week. I like the fact that he doesn't have a good run game and that it's against the Raiders, but Kyler is a better quarterback. Kyler has had great performances recently. It's a good, I think Seattle's going to score on the Cardinals, and they'll go back and forth. So, like all those players, I would rank them Herbie Hancock, Kyler, and then Bo Nix this week.
All right, last one for Kyler Murray, and it's one that I'm personally facing.
Okay.
I've got my mind made up, but I'm hoping it agrees with what you say.
I hope I say the opposite.
Kyler Murray or Jaden Daniels?
Yeah. That's a Jaden Daniels.
All right, that's who I got in there.
I mean, it's easy to see the route where it doesn't work out because Cliff Kingsbury, the offensive coordinator, has historically been like a second half of the year loser. Jaden Daniels got off to a hot start, has kind of cooled down a little bit. So maybe, the heat that Kyler has been having cooking underneath him, maybe we flip-flop next week. But right now I'm still sticking with Daniels. He's obviously playing against Dallas this week. You're not worried about the matchup at all. So stay with the kid. Stay with the rook. Go Jaden.
Andy's got him at QB1 this week. So
wow.
Yep.
I mean, I've got him at QB3, but
and Mike has him at QB2 right in the middle. So
all right, 1, 2, 3.
All right, that's all we got. Let's get to the people, Jason.
All right, we're coming to you.
Stardom, sit 'em.
Okay, well, I see one question right off the bat that I don't want to see, and the reason I don't want to see is because it's not easy. Because I would love a question of would you start Lamar Jackson or Brandon Allen? But unfortunately, this one is Cortland Sutton or Malik Neighbors. Cortland Sutton or Malik Neighbors. Cortland Sutton has been shockingly consistent and good. It's been hard for me to get over the hump of being all right, I trust it. I mean, which is weird because I totally trust Bo Nix. I believe that it's real. Malik Neighbors, on the other hand, has been awesome. Has a wonderful matchup against Tampa Bay. He was almost going to be my start of the week because obviously with Tommy Cutlets coming in the backup for Daniel Jones, who has been released, there's going to be question marks of can you start Malik Neighbors? Absolutely yes. But I think with the groin re-aggravation potential in this game, mixed with Cortland Sutton in a good matchup, and he's been better than Neighbors over the last month, I'm going to go Cortland Sutton. But I guess that's a good problem to have. That's wild. Does that feel right? Does that feel right what I'm saying? Sutton over Neighbors?
I think so. Right now, you got to stay in the flames.
Weird, wild. All right. A DST question: Texans or Chiefs? Yeah, I mean both good matchups. You got the Chiefs with Carolina. It's funny. The Chiefs are such a good real life defense, but they are not scoring a ton of fantasy points. They're not turning the ball over. Obviously playing against Bryce Young is fun, but Bryce Young, he's not wild and crazy. You know who is? Bananarama. So I'm going to take the Texans defense here. Yeah. They're just if there's a line of 0.5 interceptions in this game, I'll take that over every week. Will Levis is crazy. All right. Next question from the people. Deep League PPR rank, please. DeMarcus Robinson, Xavier Worthy, and Addison. I think you've got them in the right order. I will go Robinson, Worthy, Addison, and I think people might be a little bit surprised there that Worthy is not ahead of Robinson. The game environment, the second highest over-under of the week, which was really surprising to me, is that Eagles-Rams game. So I'm kind of trusting the metrics there that if there is a high over-under, that's, if the Rams score points, I think there's a good chance DeMarcus Robinson ends up with a touchdown. So I will have him ahead of Worthy, despite the fact I saw this out there. I don't remember who put it out, but I vetted it because I was like, that's not true. Xavier Worthy, and it's kind of gimmicky. It's kind of a gimmicky stat, but Xavier Worthy, the players that have more touchdowns than him on the season at the wide receiver position are Jamar Chase and who was the second one?
Amon-Ra.
And Amon-Ra St. Brown. That's it. Now, he's tied with like 20 other guys at 6, and 2 of those are rushing touchdowns. So, gimmicky, but at least the light is still on for Xavier Worthy. All right, next question from the people. Swift or Akers? Oosh. Oh, man. I don't like that at all. DeAndre Swift is playing against Minnesota. He's got his own injury where it was really questionable as to whether he was going to play in this game. But can you play Cam Akers at all? Ooh. I think you got to go Swift there. I'm not loving diving down into Cam Akers. No, I'm going DeAndre Swift, and you'll just be sad. So sometimes fantasy football sucks. Sometimes we're just sad. And you know what? This week you might be. So at least you got your question answered. So be happy for that. Bucky or Pollard? I'm going to go Tony Pollard in that one. I've got a Ridley or Debo. That will be a Calvin Ridley. I got a Dowdle or Benson. I'm so glad Mike's not here because I'm going Benson. Oh, the backup versus the starter. Yeah, I mean, look, I got to stick on brand. I'm not going Rico Dowdle. Ever. Nasty Boys, Lockett or Dobbs in a PPR. Both have been pretty disappointing lately. I'm going to go Dobbs there. That's tough. My apologies to your need. Jordan Love, Bo Nix, or Jordan Love or Jared Goff. That's weird. I guess 2 different leagues is my question. I would split them up. Go Jordan Love in one and Bo Nix in the other. That way Jared Goff has a monster game. All right. Couple more questions here. How many you tell me how many more questions we got time for?
3.
3 questions. All right. Let's go. Question 1. We've got Johnston or Moore, PPR. Quentin Johnston, huge over-under, great matchup for him. I think it's time we start buying in. I mean, we did a couple weeks ago. It's been working out. He's been a touchdown machine. I'm going Quentin Johnston for question 3. Question 2 is going to be Geno Smith or Anthony Richardson. Oh, man. I'm not going to pull the trigger on Anthony Richardson yet. I know he had a great game. The Jets last week, who he played against, man, they are imploding. I think they have imploded. Like, you know, everyone's gone. They're talking about benching Aaron Rodgers, putting him on IR. Aaron Rodgers saying he wants to play, but maybe not for the Jets next year. I mean, what a cluster. So that might have factored into why Anthony Richardson had a good game. The Detroit Lions are the best team in football. So I'm going to play Geno Smith. He's got his full allotment. He's at home. The Cardinals defense has been okay, but just when you start believing in the Cardinals, they let you down. So I'll go Geno Smith, and now we've got one question left. Will it be yours? It will be yours if your question is Otten or Disley. Disley, Big Montana, or Cade Otten. Big Montana, super high over-under, been on fire. I don't see a world where I can start him over Cade Otten, but I do know that I can make Al hit the Big Montana drop, and we can still root for Will Disley. And that can take us into Sunday games. Check your rosters, make great decisions. May your enemies, your opponents, and they die in a fire. And not from smoke inhalation, but like the burns, the deep burns. I mean, we're going to go hardcore this week. We're going to have all victories. I hope that if you are listening here, your opponent is not. It's going to be a great week. Jeremy, it's going to be a great week of football. For
Let's
you,
go.
For me, and the Foot Clan. We love you. Thanks for staying tuned. Go get that W.